Yeah, post-conversion, where the real work begins, hosted by myself, Marlon, and my colleague Elliot. Nice. So what we are going through is the B2B solution, the Spotler maturity model, and then we're going to go through a couple of use cases. Spotler operates in three key areas, being B2B, business to consumer, e-commerce, and government. The Spotler B2B solution brings together a couple of different modules from the Spotler platform. For those of you that are Spotler customers already, it ties together Spotler leads, which we're going to be focusing on today, where you can see businesses, contacts as well that are on your website, bringing all of that data into the CRM module. So you've got a centralized view for your sales team and you can create your segments. And then the Mail Plus module for sending out email campaigns, SMS campaigns, all of your automations, retargeting people, but doing it in a very sophisticated and intelligent way. So being able to really target people based on who they are, where they've come from, what they're looking at, and where they are in the buying cycle. Ellie, if you could just jump down a couple of slides to the next one. Next one. Yeah, perfect. Yes, so PPC, scary channel, potentially very expensive channel. And why it's very important that we want to optimize anybody that ends up landing on your said pages have cost you money. So we really want to be able to identify those leads, as I mentioned earlier, track what they're looking at beyond that initial page, score them to really understand where they are in the buying cycle. Are they at the early stages where you just want to provide them with a bit more useful information, perhaps lighter information, or are they at the more advanced stage where we really want to hone in on them, understand what they're looking at, and hand that over to sales to say, these guys are red hot. If they haven't already reached out to us, give them a shout. And then creating those more specific segments really comes into that, and then the automations as well to help nudge them along nicely to the point that they're ready to transact, whether that's an upsell or become a new customer. In addition to great products, Spotler has also taken on a more consultative approach where we've introduced a Spotler maturity model. So what we're looking to do is, alongside the products, is to be able to give advice and consult. So we've put together these 4 personas, and we've put together step-by-steps of how we can help businesses to elevate their marketing game and essentially get better at what they're doing. So on the next slide, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner is the broadcaster, and it's at the early stages of awareness. So this is where we're doing basic email campaigns or weekly newsletters, things like that. And then we're getting a lot more sophisticated in the predictor persona in the top right-hand corner up there, and where we're ready for conversion. So we're looking to transact or grow or retain. So that's where we're looking to really hone in and give the person, the decision maker, the right content in the right place at the right time, whether that's email or social media, whether that's a discount or anything to just perhaps nudge them over the edge. Today we're going to be focusing on broadcaster and segmenter. So we're going to be looking at the IP Lookup solution, Spotler leads, bringing all of that data into a CRM to a 360-degree view, being able to create your segments, again, really focus down on those that came from PPC, where we have identified organizations and contacts, and then add them into relevant email journeys to encourage them to transact. We're now going to take you through a couple of more specific use cases to show you how this would work practically. So the first stage is the IP Lookup. So as I mentioned right at the beginning of the webinar, you've done all of the great work. You've set up your paid campaigns and we're driving traffic to the website, which is brilliant. Now the challenge is, again, as I mentioned already, the vast majority of those will either bounce or they're just not going to fill out a form. If we're really lucky, we're going to get 5% of those people filling out a form to say they want to download something, they want more information, maybe pricing, whatever the call to action is at that point. So in addition to creating very nice targeted landing pages, if we layer that with the Spotler Leads module or an IP tracking tool, we are then able to identify at the very beginning and start tracking what business the person is coming from. But then also we are holding on to that information for at least 12 months, right? So even if worst case scenario, they come on, they have a look around, they go on, we at least know that somebody from that business has been on the website. We have them identified. We know we're tracking so that if they ever come back on and form fill, or if they ever come back on, we can track that right back to the beginning. The very first time they came on the website, we paid for that. So if they go on to close as an opportunity, we can connect the dots and say, brilliant, that business is closed. And 9 months ago, the very first time they came on our website was from a paid campaign. So that's one thing. The next thing we want to be doing is trying to drill down and understand, okay, who from that business it was. So this is where cookied contacts come into it. So there are a couple of different ways that we do that. And one is just by the sales guys. Well, first off, we may already have cookied contacts from that organization. So the ways that we can cookie a contact and identify an exact individual would be if they have previously form filled on our website. So that can be anything from a newsletter to an event to gated content, so downloading an ebook or a white paper, to requesting information. Or if we've emailed them previously with a link and they click on the link, that will also give us cookied contacts. Where we don't have cookied contacts, this is where the sales team will come into it. And in fact, before that, what we want to do is you want to start pushing all of this information into CRM because that's where the sales guys are going to view it. So what happens is somebody's come on, we've identified the business, maybe even identified the exact individual, and then we're pushing all of that data back into CRM. So if we already have an organization in CRM, it's going to be enriching that account or that organization with where the visitor came from, in this case, a paid ad. It could be number of employees, we can share that information. It could be revenue. And it will be all of the pages that that person has looked at. So the idea is at this point, we want to set a triggered alert for a sales team or a salesperson to say, okay, we know that somebody from Spotler has been on our website. These are the pages that they've looked at and they've scored over X number of points. We deem them to be a marketing or perhaps a sales, well, definitely a marketing qualified lead. They're hot, they're far enough, they've scored enough points that they're far enough in the buying cycle that it's ready for somebody to reach out and give them a call. So this is where we can automatically set up reports in CRM. And this is an example here where we're just showing within CRM, the organization is Spotler, and we've just added a filter. So we're just looking at the website pages. So we call that a website hit that the business has looked at. And then we've added in, you can see the source there as well. So you can see where those website visits, the initial visit was from a paid search. So I'm just going to hand over to Elliot to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Super, thank you, Marlon. So just as Marlon was explaining, I'm going to elaborate a little bit further in regards to the actual full B2B Connect solution. So we quite often refer to it as a triangle connection. So we have the Spotler leads data, so the reverse IP lookup data, and cookied individuals feeding into Spotler CRM. So just as Marlon was taking us through the actual account level, we also have known identified cookied contacts, and that data will be stored not just on the account, but also on the actual contact record as well. So we've got two layers of data. So we've got information held at the top level of the account, and that can be held in regards to some of the basic information. And when I refer to it being the basic information, I'm referring to what we refer to as essentially web insights. And that will tell us things like the actual revenue, the SIC code for the actual industry type. So that information we actually collect from a third-party data provider who are Cognism, and they will actually enrich the record for us with inside of Spotler Leads, and we'll take that data and enrich it further back with inside of CRM. In addition, any basically website activity for that account/contact is stored back with inside of CRM. So Marlon's been taking us through that data flow. But as part of that triangle of connection, you've got the leads data feeding into CRM. CRM already holds, of course, contacts and accounts. So where we have an account or a contact and we've actually associated the actual website visitor, we'll also have that 360-degree view of the actual account/contact data encompassed with that digital activity of the website behavior. We may also have collected via this triangle of connection where we've sent out a mailing via Mail Plus. So we can create lists within inside of Spot the CRM based on, again, account data, potentially website activity data and email marketing activity data. That would allow us to create that marketing list, pass that into Mail Plus, and feed those records into either a bulk one-off mailing or maybe into a fully fledged automation. So all of this data is held in this central depository, as you would expect, inside of CRM. So our account/contact based data, our website based information, our digital based information from the website, and also our email marketing activities. And that could be anything from people being sent through to obviously a bulk mailing, an automation, or if they form filled. So if somebody form fills via one of the Mail Plus forms, that record gets created with inside of Mail Plus, and we automatically go and verify to see if that record exists with inside of CRM. If it exists, then we'll just update with their digital activity from a form fill. We'll name the form they completed. And in the same breath, if they are not an existing contact, we'll automatically spin up a new account and create the contact within. So we have this 360-degree view of the actual account/contact record with inside a CRM. So that's just a bit of a taste of what the B2B connection looks like in its full entirety. The piece, of course, we're concentrating on today is the PPC side. So that data has been fed in to leads, obviously based upon people engaging with your PPC ads. We then have visibility of the actual visitor. That information is then stored within inside the leads and passed back into Spotler CRM. We're then able to tap into that data because, again, it's held on either the account/the contact record, dependent, again, if we already have the record or not. But bare minimum, it will be held on the account record. And on the account record, we're tapping into those digital insights, those web insights that get produced on the account level. And that will give us things like the actual source. The source we can tap into as being AdWords, PPC, CPC, really any form of effectively paid ads, as long as it has a source value to it, we can incorporate into the report itself. And then typically we wouldn't want to just create a report based on the fact that they've engaged with a PPC ad. We want to know which PPC ad they're actually engaging with, because of course it's a common methodology to have more than one PPC ad and target people in different ways. It may be the same product, but we'll trial different methodologies of which PPC ad could be the most effective. So again, we'll utilize that using essentially the campaign name. So in this example, we've said the source is AdWords opposed to CPC or any other. And we've said that we're targeting the NetSuite campaign name for that PPC ad, or that AdWords ad, I should say, in this particular example. So we've built a specific report In this scenario, we're targeting accounts that don't have contacts. And the purpose behind this is to be able to build a report that we can then pass over to the sales team to start that process. So Marlon, I'm passing over to you if I may.
Yeah, so this is where you're going to hand over a report or a nice list of hot and warm leads to the sales team for the day, for the week. So they'll come in the morning, they'll log into their CRM. The dashboard will straight away show them with a list of companies, but we don't yet have the exact contact. So we know somebody from these companies have been on the website, we know what they've been looking at, we've been able to score them for intent, but then they'll need to pick up and do a little bit of the legwork to try and understand, okay, who is the exact individual. So there are different ways that they can do this. They're going to be doing, I'm sure, calls, LinkedIn outreach, finding out who the most likely contacts at the business are, adding them into CRM, adding their name, their job title, and the email address. Now, Spotler is one of the few organizations in the UK that allow sending B2B contacts under legitimate interest. So we're absolutely fine to add in new contacts and add them to an email campaign, as long as we can justify that there is a legitimate interest, a good chance that they're going to be interested in the products or the services that we're providing. Now, the fact that they've been on the website, that's an additional good indication that we've got somebody from that business that is going to be interested and is going to be looking at what we're offering.
So our next
If
step was,
Yeah, sorry, Elliot, I was just gonna add before handing over, if they, are unable to get through via, email, a phone call or LinkedIn, that's when we can add them back into these email campaigns and automations, and over to you, Elliot, to explain that process.
no problem, thanks Marlon. So just as Marlon was explaining there, we're actually manually adding these records into CRM. So correctly as part of that process is we've identified the visitors, we've identified the companies that we see that meet our sales persona. So by virtue, just as Marlon was explaining, the sales team would instruct its creation of those records manually within inside a CRM, and they could work off the back of the fact that the contact is created, and we could send them a one-off email. Again, we might send them a PEARL. So the PEARL tool stands for personalized URL. It's a tool that we can utilize via Spotler Leads, which means we can send them a piece of content from the website in a normal Outlook Exchange email or any other email for that matter. By virtue of that, when they click on the link, it drops the cookie. So that's the importance of this PEARL tool for us, as it still gives us the ability of dropping the cookie. But again, the initial outbound reach there is actually via a one-to-one email. In addition to this, we can also select either 1 or up to 50 at a time and pass those records into a triggered automation. So automations are a tool within inside of MailPlus. What we're doing is we're creating essentially a flow, a series of messages and content to be able to add somebody to a journey. So as part of this process is we can select an individual record up to 50 at a time. 50 is not a limit, it's just a limit of selectable records at once. We can pass as many records in total into the actual triggered automation to pass them as part of this lead gen essentially workflow as such. And these typically could be anything from 2 or 3 emails up to maybe a 12 emailed lead nurture. But the beauty is that actually the sales team can automatically go into CRM, create the record manually in that first instance, but automatically pass them into predefined journeys that are specific to perhaps their industry, the type of products that they've been engaging from those PPC ads as an organization. Lots and lots of opportunities to enrich those records. And in virtue of doing so, when we pass those records into these automations, when they start engaging with the messages within inside of those automations, they are tracked back in MailPlus. And what will happen is we'll collect all the reporting within inside of MailPlus, but we'll also take all that data and enrich it against the actual account record. Remember, because we have to have the account before we can fold the contact in. but it will be stored on the account. And because we're now engaging with individual contacts, all of that digital footprint / activity is stored on that individual record. In addition to this manual method of selecting records and passing them into an automation, we also have the ability of creating a marketing list. So the first one we discussed when we're talking about just the account side, that was a report, but with a marketing list, we're looking at individual contacts rather than just accounts. In this scenario, what we're able to do again is build the criteria based upon that 360-degree view. Maybe we just have the account data / contact data for them. Again, we're looking for contacts. But it could be that actually we have a lot of digital activity for some of those contacts. So we can build anything based upon position, company, location, but to further that journey, to further that outreach, we could also specify criteria about the type of mailings they've been engaging with. Typically at this point in time, we're trying to keep it fairly broad because we're trying to find as many contact records as possible, and the messaging is probably more broad than very, very targeted automations that we might step into at a later point whilst collecting a lot of activity from those either existing bulk mailings or further down the journey to those automations. But in this example, we're just again looking at records that have engaged with our AdWord source, so our PPC source, and also the campaign. And by the virtue that this is going to be a marketing list, it will only result in finding me cookied contacts. That means that I can then pass this marketing list into an automation with inside of Mail Plus. And very simply, that marketing list gets synced across into Mail Plus, and via the automation, I can select that as my trigger, and that trigger will kickstart those records and future records that meet that criteria into my automation, where again, I can send them through a series of essentially lead gen content. Again, it can range from just a handful of emails to as many emails as you wish, but typically we have anything between sort of 6 to 12 emails in the lead nurture series. But within inside of Mail Plus, what you'll find is you have automation templates available. There are a dozen base templates available for you that ranges from anything from lead gen automations to birthday automations to contract renewals. There's a whole breadth of different types of automations available as a template that you can select, load into the system, and then you can very simply replace the placeholder content, messages, for the messages, the specific messages / on-brand messages that you've actually created. In this particular scenario, you can also range from having more of sort of an Outlook style type of email, sort of more of a one-to-one email. You can have more HTML style emails. Very much depends on the automation that you're building, but typically these type of lead gen ones would normally steer towards essentially Outlook style emails. But I do see some clients will also feed in the odd HTML style throughout that automation process as well. And as part of this journey, what you'll find is as the recipients engage with, again, these messages that sit within the automation, we will collate all of that information. We'll collect all of that information with inside of Mail Plus in terms of the click-through activity, and all of that digital activity will feed back against the contact record inside of Spotler CRM once again, and again enriches the profile of the contact. And furthermore, it means we've got more and more data to build these marketing lists based upon for the future. So passing back
Amazing.
over to
Yeah, guys, thank you very much for your patience. It was a bit of a hectic start. In the interest of time, we've gone a little bit over time, so we'll skip past the questions. But if you want to find out more, please reach out to your account manager. They'll be happy to take you through some of these things. And if you're new here, you can either contact us at spotler.co.uk, or just put in a request for a demo or information on the website, and we'd love to speak to you. Thanks again for your time. Hope you found that useful, and yeah, hopefully speak soon. All the best. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.